Here we go again, and now I'm back at number 2. And I like Elvis Presley music, you know. And I tell you, when I went to California, in Port Angeles, Washington, I was being held in a cage. And Twin Star Credit Union. Twin Star Credit Union. This is the company right here. They built credit unions all over. And this here used to be called Twin County Credit Union. And the first one was in Centralia, Washington. And it was connected right to the police impound yard. And there was an attorney there named Jerry Moore. And Jerry Moore had office was involved in it because my attorney over here right here, his building, and you'll get the point right here. You see the point right here? You'll get the point because this is really something. Right here, this side street right here is Plymouth, like Plymouth Rock. Yeah, that's right. And you see this here guy was setting up the United States government for a fall. This is my attorney, and this is my brother Jerry Wright, Dirty Boy Scouts. Jerry L. Wright, James L. Rowland, Bruce Kimsey, my grandfather Thomas L. Wright, George L. Wright, Jerry L. Wright, his mother Marietta L. Wright, my sister Patty L. Wright. And you know, another thing is, what tipped me off to all this here was I found out that there was a woman outside of Morton. And then when I found out what her actual photo was, it's a photo of my ex-friend. I had sex with this woman, and she had dinner at my dad's house with my sister Patty and me. I come home after work, and my sister Patty's at my dad's house, and my dad lives next door to me. I rent a house from him. So, and Lisa had made her way to the house, and when I got home, my sister showed up at the house, said, Dad wants to see it. Or no, I went next door to pay the rent, is what happened. I went next door, my sister Patty's there. I give my dad the rent because my dad, you know how people, how parents are. Give me my rent before you spend your money, John, please. You know, so anyway, I do so. So right after work, I take my dad the money and stuff like that. Hey, I gotta go home. I got my girlfriend over there. Hey, I want you to come to dinner like this. We gotta have dinner. We got Patty here. Patty, John, sit down. Just sit down after work. It's okay. Patty, go get John's girlfriend. You know, Patty goes next door and gets Lisa. And you know, I never told Dad that Lisa was black or dark. You know, I mean, I don't see color. I see people. You know. So anyway, they go next door and they get Lisa, and Lisa comes over, and Lisa comes in, and Lisa comes in, she sits down right next to me, and she puts her hand right on my lap. And my dad's head just swings over and looks at her hand on my lap, you know. And he's a little choked up. She is a very beautiful woman, by the way. I mean, she is this picture is very close to her face. I mean, it chokes me up to look at her. She was, I heard that she was found with no hands, no feet, and I read that in the reports and stuff, and she was found next door where Terry Shortridge was murdered. Bob and Carol Whitlow lived right next door, and their house has been left just exactly like that, like it was when they left it. As a reminder of everybody what happened there at that house, and Jim Kaiser lives there, and Jim Kaiser lives uptown at the Morton Auto Parts, right above where this woman lived. That's right. So at that house where Terry Shortridge got murdered, Jim Kaiser lives. And now this woman lives upstairs from there, and she pays rent right there to the auto parts store at Al Colburn's. and Jim Kaiser's right there. And because they realize that this here has to do with that bowling alley, and I've had sex with this woman, and my dad's had her at her house, and my sister's had her over there, what did they do? They snuffed this woman out and placed her body next to Bob and Carol Whitlow's place. Her name was Lisa. She was living upstairs above the Napa Auto Parts store in Morton, Washington, and she was living there with a man named Raoul. So anyway, I contacted, you know what happened was, and I'll tell you what happened, I got an infection from this woman right here, and I had to go to a specialist in Olympia, Washington. There's probably records of it, I would think, maybe. But anyway, it was a long time ago, and I had to take Cipro for this. I got a bad infection, and I went back and I told my roommate, Rose, that was a female, and I had sex with her, by the way, too. And I told Rose, I can't have sex with you no more because I got an infection from this woman. And I asked Rose, I said, where does this woman live? Because I'm going to go talk to her. When people fucking goddamn piss me off, I'll go talk to them, you know. You gave me an infection. Would you take care of yourself? Because I wouldn't mind seeing you again, honey. So anyway, I go up there, and I go up the stairway, and I knock on the door, and she's probably already expecting me, by the way. And I go up there, I knock on the door, and Raoul opens, and I could see her behind me. Just please don't say anything. And I just looked at her, and she knew I was disappointed. She goddamn knew I was disappointed in her over the whole thing, because for one, I didn't know she had a boyfriend. Rose brought her down there. So anyway, that's what it was. But anyway, I work all the time. I'm a logger and stuff like that. Rose brought this woman down. That's how I met her. And, you know, she'd only been coming around a couple weeks, and that was it. When I got an infection, it was over. You know, I never went back to the well again after I got screwed. So, but her body was found outside of Morton, placed next to Bob and Carol Whitlow's new house that they moved from because of the Terry Shortridge murder that happened at their next door to their place on 10/27/1975. Jesus, they knew my dad was the hijacker living right next door to them. And I goddamn know it now that looking back at things. The girls in the neighborhood, they knew my folks was the hijackers and stuff, because I remember Debbie Whitlow and Janet, they come walking around going like this, like snapping together, like they were coming to meet me or something, and they did meet me. And they both I ended up seeing Janet a little bit, but my brother Jim, he moved on both girls and cut me off from seeing them. If I was talking to somebody, they were cutting me off from them. And I'll tell you another thing. In Port Angeles, Washington, they used to take me to the river. And my brother Jerry would call me Bait Boy. And he would go like this, and he'd put the hook and stuff, and he'd want me to put the worm on his hook. I didn't have no problem baiting his hook and letting him flip it out there and watch him catch fish like Fish in the West. I mean, it was kind of a big deal to me, to be honest with you. I'm not going to say I goddamn didn't get a thrill out of it, but I didn't like it when he got older and he started calling me Bait Boy. And then now it resonates that he was using me as a bait boy. People that was coming around was getting killed. And I'll even go one further and saying, you know, during the time that my dad had went through California, and he come back, and when he came back, he came in that house in Port Angeles, Washington, and he came through that door, and he found me in a cage, in a rabbit cage in the dining room, sitting there, right there like a dog, with a white rabbit in there. You know, there's a picture of my brother Jerry out back wearing my sister's bathing suit that's green, like the color of that. My mother was saying Jerry looks better in that than Bonnie did, but my mother Jerry was having sex together. These two, mother and son, was having sex together, and this boy here, I watched him getting slapped and beat prior to me getting slapped and beat by my mother, because my mother would take out everything on these two boys, John and Jim. And Jim, he would stand up and he'd take all the goddamn punishments, just stood there, put his hands behind his back, say, hit me, hit me, hit me. Hit me again, Marietta. Hit me again, Mom. Hit me again, Mom. Do you feel good now? Do you feel good now? And this is exactly how it was going. And Jesus Christ, after it was done like that, well, then she took it out on me. And do you think I would fucking submit to her? Hell no, she could beat the fucking hell out of me. If my brother Jim will sit there and take that shit, no matter what Marietta gives me, I'm not gonna goddamn succumb to her. You know, I'm not gonna. What am I gonna say to a person that's crazily beating you? You know, that's exactly what she did. And I'm just gonna say this is 2, and we're gonna go for 3. I'm gonna just work through this tonight. And I cut this off. That was 2. I'll hold up the bottle again for good luck, because I'm gonna have a shot. I'm at almost 11 minutes. This is number 2.